Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Intelligence Racing League for Round 8 of Division 1 Season 2, and it is where Formula 1 first started over 70 years ago. Much changed since then, but still a challenge for the drivers. It is the Silverstone circuit for the British Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge, and I will be taking you through the action this afternoon. 18 laps. 18 minutes of qualifying and then 26 laps of what will hopefully be fantastic racing. If you weren't with us last week for the reboot, shall we say, of Division 1, it was a fantastic race, just as taking the victory from second place on the grid. Daniel making a mistake in qualifying, which proved to cost him dear, and thankfully for the drivers, there was none of this last time out in Canada. Extremely heavy rain, it looks like, for this qualifying session. Always a danger in Britain. Trust me, I've learnt that many times over the years in real life, never mind in league racing. Who will cope best with the wet conditions, and will we get these wet conditions in the race as well? Let's not forget, as soon as they leave the garage, they are in parc fermé conditions and can't make any more setup changes to their car. So this could be very interesting indeed to see how the drivers cope with these weather conditions. As I was saying then, just as took the victory last time out after a mistake from Daniel early on, still had to battle hard with a lot of safety cars, virtual safety cars, quite a few incidents last time around, and I think if the weather stays like this for the race, could see even more incidents as well. It was Asikome who took third, Menno de Bever fourth, Lewis winning driver of the day in the Mercedes. He's not actually here today. He took 5th position. What that does mean for the Constructors' Championship is it is Racing Point in the lead with the 25 points. That just has got Alfa Romeo second and Asikome third. Well, the Ferrari team third on 15 points. No team really getting 2 decent point scores last time around. So this could be very difficult for these drivers around this circuit. It's quite a high downforce circuit anyway. The Silverstone circuit, as I mentioned, first used in Formula 1 way back in 1950, where Giuseppe Farina in the Alfa Romeo took the victory, and last time out we saw an Alfa Romeo on pole. Could we see the same today? We'll have to wait and see. Around this track then, 5.891 kilometres. Much changed, as I mentioned earlier, from when it was first used in Formula 1. We've now got 18 corners. The last major change taking place in 2010 and 2011 with the addition of the new infield section from Abbey. Does mean you lost such great corners as Bridge and Priory, but does provide plenty of action for the fans, and even a few incidents, just as Kimi Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton, who had a coming together there in 2018. But we'll go on board then with extra rotation in the Williams as he heads down towards turn 1. Abbey comfortably flat in the dry conditions. You can see there he's having to hit the brake, I think, just to avoid spinning off the circuit. Tried to just get away with a left, not able to do so in torrential rain at this moment in time. Just coming through the loop now at turn 4, having to be very gentle on the throttle, obviously, as you come through turn 5. That's normally where you open the DRS, but in these wet conditions, obviously, no DRS for any of the drivers as you head down to Brooklands, one of the main overtaking opportunities in this race. And quite often you see the battle through Brooklands carry on all the way through Luffield, where you can take multiple lines through that corner. Heading now through Woodcote, past the National Pits, the old pits which were used all the way from the mid-1950s until 2010. Coming then through Corps, about 145 miles per hour, so approximately 40 miles per hour, 65 kilometres an hour slower than what they would be doing in dry conditions, just to give you a clue how treacherous it is. He's done well through Maggot, Beckett and Chapel, despite the car trying to get away from him then. Down the Hanger Straight, this is another place where they'll have DRS again in the race. Coming up now to Stowe Corner, scene of that famous overtake, Nigel Mansell and Nelson Piquet back in 1987, where they were fighting at the front of the grid for Williams. Let's see how this Williams does though as he comes through Vale, slightly deep into Vale, trying to get on the throttle as early as he can through Club, and it is going to be a 1 minute 39.708 for the Williams of extra rotation. Menno de Bever obviously with a bit of a cleaner lap, and then Daniel beating that instantly as well. We'll see what Ivan Bakker can do. 139.571 for him, so I wonder if he's made a mistake somewhere on the lap as well. Killer Brent finding himself in a bit of traffic. His teammate, though, moves up into third place. Josh has invalidated. It is quite often in wet conditions you see the drivers putting in multiple laps in the wet conditions just to try and get used to the track conditions. They will do a bit of practice as Josh coming through Arian Farm there, very close to losing the car. We are seeing a lot of drivers struggle with these conditions. I wonder if we're going to have a dry race. I wonder if we're having a dry race and these drivers have got to sort of compromise on the setup, putting a bit less downforce on to try and get used to things. And Josh looks as though he's backed off at the moment. No ERS whatsoever for him. Still Daniel, top of the timing chart, so the man who got pole position last time out, still on pole for now, and we'll see how he does this time around. Is he just cruising back to the pits? Can't imagine they'll be coming into the pits to be putting intermediate tyres on. Definitely looks as though this is going to be heavy rain all the way through, and it does look as though the Alfa Romeo is just taking it a bit easier this time around. Julian on an out lap at the moment. Chapalele just coming out of the pits then in the Red Bull. Another driver who looked fairly good last time around but made a few mistakes in the race. That did cost him dear in the end. Ended up retiring in the pit lane and gotten no points whatsoever for him. So he'll be hoping for a better result this time around. Julian just about to start his lap. Skeletor Star just as second lap in a row. It looks like he's invalidated. So last week's race winner were really struggling at this moment in time just to keep it pointed in the right direction more than anything. See what Josh can do then as he heads around the final corner. His first attempt at a lap in qualifying, quite a long way off, 1:39.984. Missed a pop though, just behind, coming in with a very quick lap time indeed, just pipping Daniel by a tenth of a second. This guy is extremely quick, had connection issues last week, so we didn't get to see what he could do. Disconnected during the qualifying session and could not get back into the lobby. So tonight, this afternoon, this could be the chance for him to show what he can do, and he's looking pretty good at the moment. See how Julian's doing then in the Haas on his first lap, coming through Cops. Looks to have a bit more confidence than what we saw Extra Rotation have there earlier. Quite a bit faster through Cops. Came very close though to going over the track limits, and he's off into the gravel. Take it from me, if you lose it through there, it is extremely difficult to keep hold of the car, so he's done very well indeed. Unsurprisingly though, that has invalidated that lap, and might have to come into the pits for new tyres and maybe even new underwear as well, because that will have been one scary moment for the Haas driver. Could well have been qualifying over there and then. So he's heading back into the pits. 10 and well, no, actually he's carrying on. As I said, probably put a lot of fuel in these cars just to get used to them. But he's down in 16th at the moment. We've got Josh in the Ferrari at the moment, replacing Janetsky for today, who is unable to make it. He set a very good time at the moment. This lap would be looking good if he hadn't have invalidated. So I wonder if he'll dive into the pits and put on a fresh set of the full wet tyres. As Josh, well, he's shown his class all of a sudden here. First man into the 1:36s, 5.5 tenths faster than everyone. That is an incredible time this early on in qualifying, especially given how difficult the track conditions look to be in the moment in time. Looks to be very tricky out here for all these drivers. He's just pushing on for another lap. No ERS usage at the moment. You probably don't want that extra bit of wheel spin at the early part of the straight, and it does look as though he's just heading back round to the pits, however. So he's on provisional pole position now as we are halfway through the session. We'll go on board with Chapalele then. Let's see what he can do. 1:10.200. Very respectable time coming through the first two sectors at the moment. You can see that sort of drier racing line there, which can be a bit tricky at times with that rubber on, can be a bit slippery. And he's actually just ran wide, so decides to dive into the pits and not bothering to brake for the pit lane speed line. If you do that in the race, you will pick yourself a 5-second penalty. And one stop is the strategy to go for in the race here. Quite a long pit lane at Silverstone. Pit speed limit starting very early indeed, just to try and slow the cars down and to stop drivers going for the fastest lap by cutting through the pit lane, which would be possible otherwise, as you do cut off the final 2 corners by doing that. Julian yet to set a time and doing very similar to what we saw of extra rotation, and he's all the way round in the barriers. Very lucky indeed that didn't end his session. Front wing, I imagine, will be completely wiped out for Julian. He's got to get round to the pits. Seems to be trying to cut his way across the circuit. He needs to be careful that he doesn't pick up penalties or get disqualified for doing that. But he's just heading back around then. Should still have about 6 minutes left in qualifying, but he'll probably only get 1, maybe 2 runs to set a better lap time. Daniel improved slightly through the first sector at the moment. Doesn't look as though it's going to be enough to challenge Josh. Only a few thousandths up. We'll see what he's like coming through his second sector then at the moment. And again, only a very slight improvement from Daniel. So, going to need to get this right through Stowvale and Club if he wants to get onto the front row of the grid provisionally. Because like the driver's getting more and more used to the track, used to the conditions, used to using these wet tyres as well, tend to be avoided by drivers in real life F1. Not known for being great, the intermediates tend to be favoured unless it is absolutely bucketing down, as we see today. And a very good final sector for Daniel puts him into second position. For now, got one of the Renault cars just heading around final couple of corners. That is Nufflebeezy at the moment on the cusp of that top 10, just inside that top 10. Let's not forget, normally you do have to start the race on the tyres you have qualified on if you're in the top 10, but because of the wet conditions, that will not apply. So everyone getting fresh tyres could make it very interesting indeed in this race. Who's on a lap at the moment then out of the fast drivers? Daniel looks to improve coming through sector 2. Quite a few of these top guys at the same part of the track. We'll see how extra rotation's doing through Cops. Again, doesn't seem to be carrying the speed that we saw Julian carrying earlier, although he really did struggle to keep it on the track. So I think Julian probably a bit too brave through Cops early on. As you can see, his car was still unsettled as he came to Maggots and Beckett. So let's see if extra rotation is improving at all. No, this just looks like another warm-up lap for him. Likewise, Menno de Beza doesn't seem to be improving at the moment. Daniel has found a bit more of an improvement, so he set a very good final sector last time. I think this is going to have to be a ridiculously good final sector if he wants to challenge Josh, but should definitely consolidate his top 2 position at the moment, as Killer Brent has retired. That is, I think, at the same point where we saw Julian crash earlier on. We'll see if we can get a view of that retirement from Daniel or Chapelele's car as they come round to see exactly where he's lost it. But Daniel comes across the line, does find an improvement then, 1:37.211. Here we on board then with Chapelele, still yet to set a time, and you just caught a glimpse there of Killer Brent's car in the wall coming through farm. That is it for him. He will be 13th at best. He's going to find it very difficult in the race from there, because Silverstone, not the easiest place to overtake, if we're being honest. Not massive braking zones into any of the corners. Stowe at the end of the DRS straight and Brooklands as well. More medium speed corners than slow corners, especially in the dry. So you don't have that long braking zone which you need in these modern Formula 1 cars to really be able to overtake easily. Let's see what Chapelele can do now as he heads through Woodcote. Just cutting over the line there. You are allowed to do that. See if you can keep it nice and clean through Cops as Just As goes up into 3rd place. So it's looking very good for the Racing Point team at this moment in time. Barakakap shoots up into 5th place then. Great lap from the AlphaTauri driver. Mr. Pops just taking it very easy at the moment, just trying to see what he can do with 4.5 minutes remaining. No one able to break into that 1:36 margin apart from Josh at the moment. So they have a good 11-12 seconds at least, what would you expect them to be doing in a fully dry qualifying session. On board with Chapelele through the final couple of corners. Where is this going to put the Red Bull driver then on his first timed run in this session? Can he get onto the front row of the grid? He can do more than that. He is fastest so far, 1:36.821. Fantastic lap from Chapelele. Puts him on provisional pole position for now. Nufflebeezy improving at the moment. Currently in 13th place is the Renault driver, and finished in 7th last time out, just behind his teammate. They're struggling a bit more in this qualifying session He gets himself, though, up into 12th position for now. Skeletal Star just on an outlap for now. We'll see what Josh is doing, and he's 2 tenths up on his personal best coming through Sector 2. This should be enough if he keeps it clean to retake that pole position for now. How fast is it going to be from Josh? Only a slight improvement in the end. I think he just caught the curb too much coming through Vale. That ruined any chance he had of getting pole position on that lap. So into the 136.8 for him. Stays in second place for now, and it looks like he's backing off. So could well be qualifying over for Josh if he doesn't get round in time to set another lap time. Is he backing off to set another one, or has he not got enough fuel in the car to set another one? I think he's just saving his tyres, getting ready for another run in a couple of minutes time. So might not be over just yet for Josh. Julian then, only man to set a time, again pushing the limits through Cops, finding it difficult indeed. Maggots and Beckett's looked a lot cleaner than the last time we were on board with him, I've got to say. Daniel now pops up into 4th place, last week's pole sitter. Some quite close margins as you look through the top few drivers. Mr. Pop, Babakakat, extra rotation, just over a tenth between them. Menno de Bevan not too far behind either. What's Julian going to be able to do then as he comes around the final couple of corners in the Haas for sole Haas driver here this evening? Heads towards the finish line in the Haas. Great lap for him. 5th position, 137.372. Found a lot of time on that lap. Seems to have the setup working well to set a fast lap, but perhaps not the easiest to drive, judging by how he's been going. XL Hardy down in 14th at the moment. Doesn't look like he's going to be improving anytime soon. His teammate on an outlap. Yellow flag in Sector 3. I'm not quite sure what that was for. Skeletal Star has invalidated, and he's got one of the Ferraris of Josh 2 behind him. So they're both about to get ready for possibly their final runs. We've got just over 1.5 minutes remaining. And it's Shapalele, then Josh, then Justas, who has just retired from the session in the pits. So his qualifying is over. He's seemingly happy with how he's done. On board with Ivan Bakker, down in 15th at the moment. Teammate currently on pole position, so both racing points then happy with the times they have set at the moment. Asakome seems to be improving, the man who got the podium last time out in Canada with a great drive in the race. Where can he get on the grid here? Moves himself up into 6th position. Is this for track drying out, or is this for drivers just getting more used to the conditions? XL Ryan unable to improve. Josh heading around the national pits at the moment. His teammate in 10th position, and Josh is improving again. Just hits that curb. Shapalele going even faster than in the Red Bull with a 136.514. Safe to say it looks like track conditions are improving around this Silverstone circuit at the moment. Let's see what Josh can do again. He's 2 tenths up yet again coming through Sector 2. He lost a lot of time in Sector 3 last time, but still managed to improve his time. So I think if his Sector 3 this time's anything like it was on his first lap, this could get very close and perhaps even topple Shapalele off the top of the order. Josh, 2nd place then, looks a lot cleaner this time, takes a lot less curb through Vale, able to get under power a bit earlier. Short shifting to cut the wheel speed. Is this good enough for provisional pole position? No, it is not. 79 thousandths off for Josh. Skeletal Star coming around the final corner now. He moves up into 14th. Josh behind moves up into 8th. Checkered flag is out then. What can Menno de Bever do there? He stays in 12th position. I think one of the Reynolds has run off track. Skeletal Star in the gravel as well. So the driver's pushing hard but finding it very difficult indeed. Duell coming around the final corner, loses it nearly across the line. He improves up into 6th position. Daniel, pole sitter last time out, goes up into 3rd. Can XL Hardy then find an improvement around the final couple of corners? This looks like a much better lap for him. Good enough for 13th. Asakome stays in 7th place for now. Shapalele heads into the pits. And I think that is pretty much it. Josh not on a hot lap. I think that is it then. That could well be it for this qualifying session. Julian still setting a time actually. This might knock him up into 4th place onto that 2nd row of the grid. Let's see what he can do. And what was I saying earlier about his setup looking quick but difficult to drive? In the gravel, coming out of club. Sideways across the line. Josh 2's actually improving at the moment. He must have been one of the last people to set a time. 5 tenths of a second. He's up on his personal best at the moment, so we could see the Ferrari sneaking onto the front row of the grid. Good exit through Stowe. All about being careful in the braking zone into Vale. Don't want to be too aggressive and hop over these curbs too much. Yellow flag's just ahead. That'll be for Josh. Travelling slowly around as Josh 2 comes across the line. I think that time was good enough then to sneak him up into 4th place. But pole position for the Red Bull driver then. Shapalele takes pole position. Josh in the Williams alongside him, less than a tenth behind. Daniel, the pole sitter from last week, is 3rd on the grid. Josh 2 in the Ferrari is 4th, just as winner from last time 5th. Then Julian, Will, Asikomi, Mr. Pop XL, all within a second of pole position. Baraka Cap is 10th, X Rotation 11th. The 2 McLarens of Menno de Bever and XL Hardy 12th and 13th. Nuffle Beasy 14th, Ivan Bakker 15th, Skeletal Star 16th. We saw Killer Brent losing it coming through turn 2. He is 17th and last on the grid. As we wait to see what the weather conditions have got for us then here at Silverstone in the race. Got to be very careful. Indeed, you never know what could happen. In the dry, it's a simple one-stop strategy. In the wet, it can be oh so difficult indeed. Who's going to take the victory then in INL Division 1? At the moment, it looks like beautiful sunshine then for the drivers. It's not guaranteed to stay like that, obviously, being Silverstone, but you never know. Have to see what tyres everyone goes on for as well. Will we see a big mix between the field? Obviously, those starting outside the top 10. Normal circumstances, you get a tyre advantage. That tyre advantage is gone here. You do not start... Well, you do start on fresh tyres outside the top 10. As does everyone inside the top 10. It's a bit cruel to force them to start on the wet tyres in these conditions, obviously. So, good opportunity probably for those at the front to not have to worry about someone doing an alternate strategy and going for something different, which hopefully won't make it less interesting. Hopefully we'll still get some variety amongst what the whole grid has gone for here. If you want to see the Division 2 action, that is also live now. Ivor Bryn Mike taking us through that. You can check it out on the YouTube channel and on Fridays as well. You can also check out the Sprint League action as well if you fancy your races a bit more shorter but just as action-packed. That is live on Fridays, 8 PM Central European Summer Time, 7 PM British Summer Time. See what tyres everyone has gone for. Most of the field, the majority, safe to say, on the soft tyres. Josh, both Joshes, Baraka Cap, XL Hardy and Killer Brent on the medium tyre. So this could be a very interesting first lap then for the Williams driver. He has to cope on the medium tyres. Won't be up to temperature as quickly. Might struggle a bit off the line, so could be in pressure from Daniel behind him. Just have to see how this race goes out. One-stop strategy will be the plan. Those, as you can see there, soft to medium or soft to hard. Not really much in it. Those on the medium tyres probably will try and stretch it, you'd imagine, onto the soft tyres, or might be hoping for a VSC at some point, which could well change everything. If we get a VSC or a safety car, that could make things very interesting indeed. Nuffle Beasy and Skeletor Star appear to have come together on the formation lap, so they've both been disqualified, starting near the back of the grid on colder tyres. This could be a very long afternoon for the pair of them. Quite a pacey formation lap, it must be said by Shapalele. He wants to get on with this as he now just slows it down ever so slightly, trying to build up that tyre temperature, scrubbing the tyres. Don't want to obviously overheat and wear them too much in these early stages under the formation lap. We could well get an early safety car. It's very possible when all the cars come bunching together into the village section, turn 3 and the loop at turn 4, that you do see quite a few cars coming together there. But Shapalele will lead the field away then from pole position. Last week's race winner, Just As, is in 5th position. Started 2nd and took the win last time around. Him and Daniel swapping positions by the checkered flag. Can he get a 2nd victory in a row and extend his slender championship lead? Just waiting for the final cars then. Killer Brent, last man after crashing in qualifying. Can he score points? It's going to be difficult from there. We wait for the lights. to come on then here at Silverstone. We've got them coming. There's 4. There's 5 lights here at Silverstone. And the British Grand Prix is underway, and it's a good start from Shapalele there. Josh not able to get alongside at this moment in time. So Shapalele with the lead coming through turn 1. Josh having to battle with Daniel at the moment for second position. Daniel going to see if he can hold it all the way around the outside of Village to give him the inside for the loop. Might be a bit of contact between these two, but it looks like Daniel's just about got ahead for now, as long as he doesn't get chopped off by Josh. This is going to be a straight drag race between the Alfa Romeo and the Williams, allowing Shapalele to get ahead. Further back, you've got Justas and Josh in the Ferrari battling with him. Daniel trying to go all the way around the outside of Josh M97, which you can do at Brooklands because it gives you the inside for Luffield. And it looks like he's finally managed to get ahead of the Williams driver, so he is up into second. All this battling just allowing Shapalele to get away though. He's had probably the perfect first lap. Mr. Pop moving up 3 places. Extra rotation. Seems to just find himself being shuffled down the field as he makes contact with Ivan Bakker. That could have very well gone wrong for the Red Bull driver. He's now in 16th, 17th position. The Skeletor Star with a fantastic opportune move there. Coming through Maggots and Beckett's. Extra rotation, the biggest loser on that first lap then. XL Hardy, Nuffle Beezy, Mr. Pop and Killer Brent. The biggest winners as extra rotation. Now fighting with Menno de Bever to get that 13th place as Julian off the circuit at Stowe. Has he gone deep or was he tapped on the exit there? That is a very strange place to go off the circuit, I must say, to find yourself that far off. Anyway, he's now down in last position, but it's Shapalele in the lead then from Josh getting that position back. Daniel is in second, Josh third, just as fourth. Mr. Pop is in fifth, and then Josh 2 is in 6th position at this moment in time. Duril just ahead of Asikomi, then Baraka Cap, and then it is XL Hardy in the final points position at this moment in time. XL Hardy now currently fighting with Nuffle Beezy, who might try and look to get the cutback on here. Not able to get the traction. No DRS, let's not forget, until next time around, where they can use it down the Hanger Straight and the Wellington Straight. Extra rotation, get a much better run through Woodcut. There's just not the opportunity to overtake on the inside there. Runs slightly wide, could well get himself a penalty. If he does that too often in this race, very easily done to get a penalty at that part of the circuit, as Nuffle Beezy striking the curve quite hard there on the inside of Beckett. You don't see that too often. That's compromised his exit ever so slightly. XL Hardy just holding on to that position now as Menno de Bever trying to go all the way around the outside of extra rotation. Is he able to hold on to the position? No, he's not, but he will have the inside for Vale. The McLaren trying to get down the inside. Extra rotation later on the brakes. That gives him a worse line though coming through Club. You need to be careful through here. They give each other great racing room. And we see the McLaren move up into 12th position at this moment in time. DRS has been enabled. We'll be able to use it on this lap. And Shapalele, you can see he's trying to break away that 1 second window. He's not managed to do it in time. Daniel and Josh have DRS, as do the 2 racing points behind. Josh 2 must have made a slight mistake, because I swear he was ahead of Mr. Pop XL at one point, and he has dropped a long way off the back of the 2 racing points at this moment in time, perhaps even into the clutches of his teammates. Might come to him later in the race, might come to both Joshes later in the race, so because they are on the medium tyres at this moment in time. So I think as long as they can try and stay within DRS range, in the case of Josh M97, and in the case of Josh 2, get within DRS range, it's going to be very interesting indeed for these guys. They'll definitely be helping the Williams at the moment defend from the racing points. You're about to see that flap open as they come through Chapel. Then there's nothing just as a Mr. Pop XL can really do in this early stage of the race to close up. Shapalele and Daniel then first and second. 2 drivers who I think will admit it didn't go to plan for them last time out in Canada. Had a very good qualifying but made a mistake in the race. Daniel, who we are on board with at the moment, was able to recover as he sets the fastest lap of the race, instantly beaten by Josh M97 though. That's a very good lap to say he's on the medium tyres. Daniel did recover to second. He knows it could have been a victory, and it was his spin in the early stages that brought out the first safety car. I'm glad to report we've got every car still in the race, and it looks like, was about to say, it looks like every car's got away with damage as Skeletor Star nearly fully sideswiping Iron Maka as it came back onto the circuit. He's come out just ahead of extra rotation. Julian tried to catch up to the back of these guys, but he's having to do it without DRS in the Haas. This could be a very lonely evening, but it definitely looks as though he's got the pace as extra rotation trying to go down the inside of Skeletor Star. Can he get the cutback? Coming through Luffield to get a better run down this straight. He's got an absolutely fantastic run round the outside at Woodcut. He's going to be ahead before we get to Cops. He's up into 15th position as he tries to fight his way up after a disappointing qualifying session. We've already seen a penalty then for XL Hardy and now Barakat Shalom. These guys in 9th and 10th, maybe just struggling a bit with the dirty air at this moment in time as Asakome gets past his teammate then. 2 Ferraris swapping round. Last week's podium sitter up into 6th position. Still seems to be finding good pace on those soft tyres at this moment in time. It definitely looks like Josh 2 struggling a bit more on the mediums than some of the others that are on those tyres. Out at the front of the race though, still Shapalele, still about half a second ahead of Daniel, just not able to drop Josh M97 or either of these two, and they're bringing along the 2 Racing Points just as Mr. Pop XL. It's looking like a very good race for Racing Point, who are leading the Constructors' Championship at the moment after one round of after the reset. Looking very good for that team at the moment with 4th and 5th. We'll have to see how they do as the race goes on to see whether they can get one of them onto the podium. Nuffle Beezy battling with XL Hardy. Can he go round the outside at Brooklands? That's going to give him the inside for Luffield. There's big contact between them. That's more like what you're going to see in the BTCC this weekend around Silverstone than what you see in the F1. But Nuffle Beezy's fought his way through. He's up into 11th. And Menno de Beva might be able to get past his teammate as well. They're going to go side by side through Corps. Will Menno be able to hold it off round the outside? Yes, he can. He's up into 11th, and I can't imagine XL Hardy is too happy about that. What happened to him there? He was ahead of Nuffle Beezy. To be fair, he could have maybe given him a bit more space as Menno gets a penalty there for multiple warnings, which seems a bit harsh if you ask me. Definitely went onto the grass, but didn't really gain any time from it. Obviously, if you are running on the grass, there's a lot less traction there than there is on tarmac. There's extra rotation battling with Killer Brent, who's ran off the circuit. Is he going to try and dive one down the inside? Could easily have lost his front wing there. He now drops into 15th position. He did start 17th though, so we'll be able to see if he can go a bit longer on these medium tyres. Maybe to try and work himself into the final point spot. And at the moment, that final point spot is being held by his teammate, Nuffle Beezy, who's just ahead of, obviously, Menno and XL Hardy. We'll see if XL Hardy can fight back. He's got the ERS, he's got the DRS, as we have another spinner for the second time this race. It's Julian facing the wrong way. I think he might have just about recovered it, though, and again, no damage for the Haas, as he was trying to catch right back up onto the back of the field. Still, unfortunately for him, stuck in 17th at this moment in time. Great commitment then through Daniel, Maggots, Beckett's and Chapel. Will he get a bit of understeer in the dirty air? Yes, he does. That allows Shapalele to just stretch the gap ever so slightly. Not a lot he can really do. Daniel to just sit in the slipstream at the moment. We could see an undercut from these drivers. Don't expect it yet. Maybe lap 8 or 9 if they're going to go for the undercut. We know Josh is going to be going longer. He just needs to keep calm, keep in touch with these guys for now, and then run his own race once the track becomes clear ahead of him. Wouldn't be surprised though to see one of the Racing Points pit either this lap or next lap, because they're in 4th and 5th. They're at the back of this DRS train. It is incredibly hard to overtake once you're stuck in one of these DRS trains. So let's wait and see what these guys go for at the moment. Just as the winner from last time out in 4th, Mr. Pop, thankfully his connection holding up this week. He is in 5th position, and Asakome seems to be breaking away from his teammate, not catching up to those ahead of him, but pulling away from Josh 2. As Nuffle Beezy tries it round the outside of Barakat Shalom. He made this work last time. Again, a bit of contact, and he's just about made it work this time as well. He loves the overtake through Luffield, does the Renault. He's up into 9th position. Can Barakat Shalom maybe get alongside into Cops? just too far back. So he now drops into 10th place. What this is showing, though, is his soft tyres definitely have plenty of pace at this moment in time. Daniel, bit closer than he was last lap around. A Skeletor Star off at Cops, avoids the wall, drops down into last position. So we will be able to continue then without a VSC. Daniel was just about to say definitely closer than he was on the previous lap, but not able to get close enough, as now Baraka Shalom has used the RS to get ahead of Nuffle Beezy, and that's the Alpha Tauri back up into 9th place. And all this battling just dragging the two McLarens on with them at the moment. So we now have a 4-car battle for the final 2 points positions. Killer Brent picking up a penalty as he tries to catch up to extra rotation on those medium tyres at the moment. One Renault in 10th or one Renault in 15th position. Looking back from Josh, 3rd place at this moment in time. Just as looking a bit quicker at this moment in time. Seems to have dropped Mr. Pop XL, who has just picked up a 3-second time penalty. So maybe Just as still has a bit more pace on these soft tyres. And if he thinks he's getting held up, as I said, we could see this lap one of these racing points decide to come into the pits. It wouldn't surprise me if it is Just as he's the lead one. Maybe it's a bit early yet if they want to go onto the mediums, but if they want to go onto the hard tyres, this is the lap probably to do it. And let's not forget, Pirelli do bring their 3 hardest tyres to this circuit, and we saw in real life how tricky it can be to get those tyres to last until the end. This time around, Shapalele has a bit more of a gap from Daniel, and you can see no one really close enough to go for that overtake at this moment in time. Is anyone heading into the pits then on this lap? No. Oh, yes. We have seen a pit stop, and it is Just as getting it slowed down in time. So the first pit stop of this race. Shapalele, though, still clearly has a lot of pace as he sets for fastest lap. Menno de Bever coming in as well. First few pit stops we are seeing then at the end of lap 8. Medium tyres will be going on the McLaren and going on the Racing Point as well. This will bring them both out in free air. They'll be able to use those medium tyres and should theoretically undercut some of those ahead of him. But we have seen that Shapalele does seem to still have good pace at this moment in time. In fact, I said they might come out in free air. I didn't realise Skeletor Star had dropped that far down the order. He might come out just ahead of them. He's on old soft tyres, so shouldn't really prove too much of a challenge to overtake. Just depends on which part of the circuit you catch them up. So what that does mean is the 5-car train at the front, you could say it's pretty much down to 3 now, with Mr. Pop just being a bit off the back of it because he won't get DRS this time around. Such an extremely fast section of corners. Maggots, Beckett and Chapel really testing the aerodynamics of that red Bull car to the absolute limit. Will we see a reaction then from these drivers? Will we see a pit stop from Daniel or Mr. Pop as Nuffle Beezy is out of the race, and now might be a time to dive into the pits because we could well see a safety car. He's a long way off the circuit. That looks like where Daniel Kvyat, well, just after where Kvyat went off. You can see he's a long way off there. I'm not quite sure what's happened. It doesn't look like we are going to have a safety car. But we did see Daniel and Mr. Pop come into the pit. Shapalele staying out. Where will these come out relative to Just as, who is ahead of Skeletor Star already? He's just got ahead of him. This could be very close between these guys. We've seen a few more pit as well. Julian coming into the pit. Skeletor coming in. He gets himself a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Where is Just as going to be relative to his teammate and relative to the Alfa Romeo? He's still ahead of Mr. Pop. Unfortunately for him, the undercut hasn't worked and he's still behind Daniel. So Daniel comes out in 11th, still ahead of Just as, and the lead driver of all of those that have pitted at this moment in time. Now it's just these two going out. Shapalele, who you'd expect to pit this time around, and Josh on the medium tyres, let's not forget. Qualified in second, was extremely fast at the start of qualifying, just couldn't seem to find too much more pace from that, but looking very good at the moment in the race. Just sitting in that position, he's managed to hold on in that place in the second at the moment. He's about to take the lead as race leader Shapalele comes into the pits. The one and only pit stop then for the Red Bull car. XL Hardy getting ahead of Baraka Shalom. He moves up into 6th place, and look at that, fastest lap of the race now Fastest lap of the race from Josh. He's really starting to put the hammer down and show the pace on those medium tyres. Duville and Asikomi going a bit longer than I would have expected. And Ivan Bakker as well, who I think didn't want to get caught behind his teammate. Probably could have made the double stop work at that distance though. So surprised to see these guys carrying on as long as they are on the soft tyres. They're doing a very good job indeed. It must be said, as Just As now sets the fastest lap of the race. Unsurprising perhaps on those fresh medium tyres. Chapelele still coming out though in the lead of the race. Undercut not really working for these guys. About 28 seconds for a pit stop, so that's the margin we're going to have to watch to see where Josh is going to come out relative to these guys when he makes his pit stop. I'd imagine in the next 4 or 5 laps when we'll see Josh coming into the pits to put on the soft tyres to see if he could try and fight his way up the order. Might be hard to do it in the DRS zones just because of the DRS train effect, because I think he will drop behind these front 3 out of those that have pitted. Mr. Pop, you can see, just a bit further back at the moment, and he's got that yellow marker on the telemetry saying that he needs to save a bit of fuel. Not really a worry now. You do obviously burn more fuel when the car is heavier, but as the fuel goes down, he should be able to get that under control. If not, maybe just a bit of lifting and coasting into some of the heavier braking zones, like into the loop section, starting with Village at turn 3, might be the idea. As Ivan Bakker comes into the pits then, lap 7, Duville and Asikomi able to carry on at the moment on those soft tyres. It's a very good job from them because their mediums will be in decent shape at the end of the race. So they're doing well indeed to keep going on as Daniel sets the fastest lap of the race then. 1:27.397 for the Alfa Romeo driver as he still was pursuing Chapelele and still not really able to get close enough to use the DRS to great effect. Ivan Bakker coming out. I think he'll come out just behind extra rotation then in 14th position. Still got 16 runners. Only retirement that we saw on lap 9. Nufflebeezy losing it, coming through Maggots and Beckett. I know he was close to a few other cars. Not sure though if there was any contact. And you can see now, we'll get an idea of just how much Duville is struggling at this moment in time. Even in the dirty air, you can see Axel Hardy still really able to keep up with him, and this should be a fairly straightforward DRS overtake for the McLaren driver on the medium tyres. Same age as tyres, but the softs on the World's car, I think it's safe to say, have seen better days. And I imagine he'll be coming in this lap. He does come in. Asikomi gets a speeding penalty in the pit lane. I think Duville just about managed to avoid that, so that will be added on to Asikomi's time at the end of the race. Unless he serves another pit stop, then he will have to serve it then. So it's just the medium tyre runners now that haven't pitted. All 5 that started on the medium tyres. You've got Josh M97 leading. Josh 2, 9.6 seconds behind. He's not been able to keep up with those faster guys ahead. XL Hardy's 3rd. Baraka Capshalam 4th. Not Killer Brent is 5th. Next race leader, though, is this man, Chapelele. Currently in the 6th position, but he's still, as he has done all race pretty much, got Daniel and Just As behind him at this moment in time. And assuming a 28-second pit stop time would put Josh behind Just As at the moment. The racing point currently 27.3 seconds off the lead of the race in 8th position. Got to say he's looking pretty good though to get a podium. Just might need to make sure he stays on the back of Daniel, because we know when Josh comes out behind these guys with fresh tyres, he's going to be looking all over the track, possibly in places where Just As isn't thinking an overtake's going to get done. Josh might just be thinking about that. Probably not at the end of the DRS zones, because they're not really too effective around here, but maybe coming through Luffield, maybe coming through Vale, just using that DRS to get closer and then get a pass done on the brakes where he's got that extra grip. Daniel still closing up to the back of Chapelele. Chapelele not really feeling the need, obviously, to defend at this moment in time. In 6th place, they are catching up though to Killer Brent on the older medium tyres. Killer Brent started in last place after his incident in qualifying, currently running in 5th place for sole Renault driver after the retirement of his teammate. And this This could either help or hinder Shapalele. If he catches him up at a DRS zone, it will help him and he might be able to just streak past. If he catches him up coming, let's say, through Cops, he's really going to get held up through Maggots, Beckett and Chapel. And that might be the opportunity that the Alfa Romeo of Daniel needs. So he needs to play this careful, Shapalele, and just needs to hope that the F1 traffic gods are with him at this moment in time. Leader of the race, so still Josh M97 after qualifying in second place, extending that gap ever so slightly over his Dutch namesake Josh. 10.3 seconds at this moment in time is that advantage. I imagine at least another 2 laps though before we see these guys start to come into the pits to put the soft tyres on, maybe get that point for the fastest lap. Whoever sets the fastest lap inside the top 10 does get the extra bonus point. Apart from that, obviously the same as the F1 point standard. So could watch out for those on the soft tyres to maybe get that extra fastest lap point. And that could be crucial at the end of the season. Long way to go though until the end of the season. Still a long way away, and it will be Brazil where the season ends on the 12th of December. Don't forget to miss that. Just before Christmas will be the end then of Season 2 here at INL. We're at race number 8 of this season then. Shapalele has managed to get past Killer Brent actually. Very opportunistic move coming through Abbey. Daniel able to follow through as well. I think just as won't be too far back. You can see there he's tried to go for the inside. That's just held him up ever so slightly. Both of these guys will have DRS. I don't think there's going to be much point Killer Brent defending this. And you can see the Renault just sticks to the outside there. Doesn't really fight the position. Ooh, I say doesn't fight the position. That could have easily ended in tears. Went for a move on Justas. That wasn't ideal whatsoever. Skeletal Star back into the pits. Can only assume he's got some damage somewhere. And he retires from the session. So we are down to 15 runners then. Skeletal Star out of the race. And I think Killer Brent and Justas both very lucky not to pick up any damage. As Josh into the pits a bit earlier than I expected. And he picks up a 5-second speeding penalty. That could well be it for his chances of taking the victory in this race. Josh 2 coming in as well. XL Hardy also diving into the pit. So that means this man, Barakakat, in the Alpha Tauri, the only Alpha Tauri now after Skeletor Star's retirement, takes the lead of this race. He's going a bit longer. He wants the softs to feel a bit fresher at the end of this race. Where is Josh M97 going to come out though? At this moment in time, Shapalele's just coming around the final corner now. I think it is going to be the top 3 getting ahead of Josh M97. Mr. Pop will be too far back. He's got the fresh soft tyres, but he has a 5-second penalty. What can he do as this race comes on at the moment? Asakomi is still getting ahead of Josh 2 at this moment in time. Josh 2 coming out in 9th position at the moment. XL Hardy down in 12th with Ivan Bakker not too far behind either. So you'd expect these soft runners to fight their way through the field if they don't get stuck in that DRS train. With 10.5 laps to go then. Babakakat leading, and then this battle between 4 cars now for the net race lead. Shapalele has been there since lap 1. Daniel just as. And on the soft tyres, on the alternate strategy, it's Josh currently in a net 4th position. You see Shapalele picking up a penalty then. I think that's his first of the race for multiple warnings, and Daniel has the closest he's been, and Justas not too far behind. There's only a second separating these front 4 at the moment. I think they realise with Josh M97 being in 5th place on those soft tyres, they need to get a move on and need to maybe start challenging. This could get very spicy indeed for these guys. Fastest lap of the race then for Justas. They are definitely picking up the pace here on lap 17. 10 laps to go. 2nd to 5th, only a second separating them at this moment in time. You can see how racy Josh is looking at the moment. Just as thinks about diving one up the inside of Daniel. That might have given Josh a chance to get a perfect run. I think he was a bit just too close there here. He's using his ERS. Are we going to see an overtake here from Josh M97? Is he going to go for the inside into Brooklands? He's got the extra grip. He gets back ahead of Justas. Runs a bit wide though. Might see a cutback here from the racing point, but he hasn't got the grip. He's down into 5th. So they're now top 5 in the order they were before the pit stops. Shapalele, Daniel, Josh, just as Mr. Pop XL still dropping a bit further back. Looks as though he will take a 5th place, though, at this moment in time, as Josh 2 picks up a penalty. Baraka Cap still going around at the moment in the lead of this race. Will come out in about 13th position, I think, just behind the Red Bull of Ivan Bakker when the pit stops are done. And you can see how close Josh is now to the back of Daniel. He's just ran out of ERS. Not able to have a go. I think gives Daniel a slight tap there. Runs very wide indeed. Picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's looking very racy at the moment. He's desperate to get the move done. Just a bit low on ERS. Is he got the grip to get it done here? Can he get a better exit through Club? Fastest lap of the race. He has got a much better exit down the inside into Abbey. Daniel decides not to really fight that. And there we go. Josh up into a net 2nd place at this moment in time. Shapalele, his next target. Josh 2 sets the fastest lap of the race. I don't think Shapalele will be able to do much about it at this moment in time. Won't lose the place here, but I think coming down the hanger straight, it's going to be very difficult for the Red Bull to keep on to the net lead of this race. Baraka Cap doing a great job on those medium tyres, which must be, I think it's safe to say, absolutely finished at the moment. He's definitely coming out behind Ivan Bakker now, maybe even behind Julian. Surprised he's not heading towards puncture territory at the moment, you've got to say, as XL Hardy up into the points in the McLaren. He's now in 10th position. His teammate 3 seconds up the road will be the next target, and it wouldn't be surprising if on that alternate strategy he catches him up. Further out front though, net lead of the race battle. 2nd and 3rd at the moment. Shapalele's not got DRS, trying to break the toe early on. Is he going to bother going defensive into Stowe here? They're both running low. You can see the red light flashing on both of the cars. Josh is down the inside. Contact between the two of them. Shapalele is still there. Safety car. Well, oh, well, oh, well. Julian has gone off track somewhere. That is coming through cops. He's had a big crash. Daniel comes into the pits, gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Are we going to see anyone else dive in and put the soft tyres on? Mr. Pop thinks about it as well. Asikomi coming in. A lot of the medium runners, I think, are going to come in here. How this makes it very interesting is all those that have penalties are going to find themselves in big trouble. It's fortunately for Baraka Cap, he wasn't ahead of the safety car. Otherwise, this would have worked out absolutely perfectly for him. And yeah, he's not going to be able to. Why is he allowed? Why is he passing the safety car? How is that a thing? He's the leader of the race. Surely he's got to stay behind the safety car. But this is F1 2020. Nothing surprises me anymore. But Baraka Cap seems to have been allowed to overtake the safety car, which very strange indeed. He is slowing down quite a lot, so not sure if we got a bit of a visual glitch here, but Baraka Cap's still in the lead. Was he ahead of that safety car line when the safety car came out, and is that why he's allowed? Because he maybe got absolutely lucky here, and will be able to get basically a free pit stop on soft tyres and maybe take the lead of this race. Josh is in 2nd now. Shapalele 3rd, just as 4th. Just 2 is 5th. XL Hardy 6th. Daniel came out in 7th. Mr. Pop 8th. Asikomi 9th. Pretty much the entire field, apart from Baraka Cap, Josh, Shapalele and Justaz, came into the pits then. I think Baraka Cap surely is going to come in now. He's got a free pit stop. Is he going to be able to put an entire lap on the field here? Because that does not seem right whatsoever, if that's the case. Because if the safety car doesn't get ahead of him, he's able to put an entire lap on the field, and I don't think the safety car is going to get ahead of him here. Like, the safety car should surely be waving all these cars back. This is strange. The only way of putting it. This is extremely strange here. Baraka Cap. Surely he's winning this race. Surely he's winning this race. It says that Nuffle Bees' wheel disconnected, which is extremely unlucky for him. But Baraka Cap's overtaken the safety car. If he comes out ahead of the safety car, is he allowed to catch up the entire field? Now he's let the safety car back for... Oh, I'm clueless as to what is happening here. I'm going to be honest. Now Josh has overtaken him. And that sometimes leads to a bit of a... glitch. This is... Yeah. Normally I understand what's happening. I don't really understand at all what happened there, but I think It's almost levelled itself out. There was a crash for Julian. That brought out the safety car. Barakakat came out behind the safety car, but he was able to overtake. But it seems he's had to drop back again after he's made his pit stop. So, it's always full of surprises. You never quite know what's going to happen, but he's in second place at this moment in time. Josh, race leader then, on the soft tyres with the penalties, and we will check the penalty situation now though for these front drivers. You can see there Josh has 8 seconds of penalties. Barakakat has 6 seconds at this moment in time. Shapalele, we know, has the 3 seconds. Just as has kept it very clean indeed, so could well take a race victory, but he's still on those medium tyres. Josh too has 3 seconds. XL Hardy with 3 seconds. Daniel, a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. We saw him get as the safety car came out. 3 seconds for Mr. Pop XL. Asikomi has 5 seconds. Well, I know he'll have served that in the pits, won't he? And Menno de Bever has 6 seconds indeed. So out of the top 10, it's only Asikomi who doesn't have a penalty as he served his in the pits. As the safety car comes in this lap, this is a fantastic chance here for Barakakat to take a victory that absolutely no one would have predicted. Started in 10th place on the medium tyres, went longer than everyone else. I thought a bit too long. Then the safety cars came out. Julian involved, I think, in an incident with someone coming through cops. That's put the Haas into the wall. And now we've got 6 laps of racing. This is a bit like the pre-season race where everything happened. The entire field within 5 seconds. Josh has gone. Barakakap's not had a good restart whatsoever. So Josh under no threat at all. Shapalele and Justas, we'll see how they do. The only drivers on the medium tyres could just drop like a stone throughout the field at this moment in time. But Josh M97 in the lead of the race with 8 seconds of penalties. Barakakap and his 6 seconds are in second. Shapalele has 3 seconds in third. Let's see how this race goes, because penalties could really decide it now. Josh too on the soft tyres is in 5th place at the moment. The first man to get the freshest soft tyres after pitting under the safety car is Daniel. He only has 1 penalty, but it's 5 seconds for speeding in the pits. Menno de Bever picking up another 3 seconds as well. Josh too looking extremely racy at the moment. He knows he's got to take advantage of the fact that he's got better soft tyres than the race leader. No, actually he's got identical, hasn't he? Barakakap has the better ones than the race leader. But he's had an absolutely shocking restart already. 1.5 seconds behind Josh. There's no danger of these tyres not making it to the end now for those on the softs or the mediums, as they were much reduced pace under the safety car. And you can just see Shapalele not able to get on the back of him as well. Josh could still win this race. Despite these 8 seconds of penalties, he could still take the win here. He's already at the end of lap 1, nearly 2 seconds ahead. Lap 1 after the safety car, nearly losing it though. Coming through club, that looked a bit more like what he was doing in the wet. Fastest lap of the race end. Barakakap gets the gap now to within just over a second. They won't have DRS until next time around. They'll be able to use it for the final 4 laps of this race. Shapalele is third, just as still in 4th. We didn't see a lot of moves on that last lap. I think once the DRS becomes enabled, we might see a few more. Shapalele could be under some big pressure here actually from Justas. I think Shapalele's made a mistake coming through turns 4 and 5, and Justas alongside gets the move done down the inside. He takes 3rd place. The Red Bull still there, still going to try and keep his nose in through Luffield. Justas runs very wide. Can he get a better exit? Can he get a better exit? Can he get all the way around the outside of Woodcut? They're going to be side by side nearly coming through cops. One of these surely has to yield. Is it going to be the Red Bull, or is it going to be the Racing Point, who had no choice then on the outside? You can see all of a sudden though they're 2 seconds behind Barakakap. 3.4 off the lead of this race. Staying out on these medium tyres could prove to be extremely costly indeed for the pair of them. Now Justas has got a better exit again. Can he get one down the inside into snow in the Racing Point? Second time this lap he's tried to overtake Shapalele. Again the Red Bull able to hold it, and I think Justas just hit the curb too much there. Josh getting forced by Shapalele, getting a penalty. XL Hardy trying to make his way up now. Very opportunistic from him. He's up into 5th place. DRS is enabled. I've got to say, at this moment in time, it looks like Josh or Barakakap are going to win this race, no matter how many penalties they get, because they're going to be so far ahead of the rest of the field. Back on board then with the Racing Point of Justas as Daniel trying to get past Josh. These two battling out for 6th and 7th. Contact between them. Josh forced over the curve ever so slightly, and Josh 2 now finds himself behind Mr. Pop XL. DRS open on the Racing Point then. Not close enough to have a go at Shapalele. Did so with everyone behind. Asikomi though getting ahead of Josh 2. He really got forced wide there, and it has cost him indeed. Menno de Bever trying to get alongside as well. Extra rotation. He's in the middle of all this train as well. He's trying to get a cutback on DeWill and Menno de Bever for the final point at the moment. Josh 2 very slow indeed there. Menno de Bever's able to get alongside him and through into Cops. Great move from the McLaren. Josh 2's just getting shuffled down the field here. He's now outside the points. He was 6th at the start of this lap. He's now in 11th place. Mr. Pop XL picking up a time penalty as well. This is getting very interesting indeed. Daniel 6th position at the moment. He has that time penalty. Not able to get ahead of XL Hardy. Just as still behind Shapalele. These two now 5 seconds off Josh. M97 in the race lead with 3 laps to go. But Baraka Cap still just about keeping within the 2 seconds that he needs to claim a race victory. Although I'm sure there'll be some talk amongst the drivers about that safety car. Very interesting indeed how the AlphaTauri was able to overtake a safety car. Pretty much get a free pit stop. By all rights, he should have been in last place. But if the game's let him do it, the game's clearly let him do it because he didn't get a penalty. XL Hardy getting ahead of Justas, who I think's made a mistake somewhere, because Daniel able to get through as well. Daniel right on the back of XL Hardy. Mr. Pop trying to have a move at Justas. Daniel going very deep into Brooklands then, and that's allowing Justas to try and fight and get the place back. Has he got the grip to go all the way around the outside again at Woodcut? No, he hasn't. And I think that's going to allow Mr. Pop XL to get a run on his teammate. He's got a perfect view of this battle up ahead of him, but Daniel stays in 5th place for now, and now XL Ryan has got himself up into 4th position. Somehow Shapalele is still holding on to that 3rd. Incredibly close between everyone. You can see Asikomi in 8th, Josh 2 losing even more places. He's in 12th. Has he got any front wing damage? Because he's understeering a lot there. Must have some minor front wing damage. Barrel's load of understeer. Still managed to get a better run though. Then extra rotation did. Just not able to get ahead at this moment in time. This has been a absolutely fantastic race, it must be said. We've only got a few laps remaining. Menno de Bever trying to get down the inside of Asikomi there. He's going to run off track over the sausage curb. Got to be careful not to spin it there. 2 laps to go. It looks like Josh M97 is going to take the victory here and take 25 points. Great start for him then after missing the last race, with Justas the winner from last time currently in 6th position. Completely different drivers at the front of the field, so you'd still expect him to have the championship lead. Josh 2 and Ivan Bakker battling for 12th and 13th. It's safe to say after the safety car it has really not gone to plan for this Ferrari driver, as XL Hardy battling with Daniel at this moment in time. Daniel's got down the inside and he's got that 4th position. He tries to fight to get back up to Shapalele. XL Hardy still hanging off around the outside, but unless he gets an overlap, he's not going to really have the line into Cops. And there we go, Daniel up into 4th. XL Hardy having to settle for 5th place at the moment. Now Shapalele, now he might start to be in a bit more trouble, because this is the first time I think he's had anyone on the fresh soft tyres that pitted under the safety car. But again, still getting a very good exit. Still got plenty of ERS. Daniel's running out. You can see he's clipping on his ERS. That red flashing light. Asikomi trying to go all the way around the outside at Stowe on Mr. Pop XL. There's contact and banging between the two of them. He's still got the inside line for Club. For Vale, I should say. Mr. Pop holding off as he's tried all the race. Bit of contact, I think, between the two of them. That's forced them wide. Menno de Bevers right in between them. It's like the Red Sea's parting here for the McLaren driver. He goes up into 8th place. Mr. Pop down into 9th. And he might even get another position here, Mike the McLaren, trying to go down the inside of the Ferrari. Can he take that 7th position for now? Can he get the cutback done? Can he just go all the way around the outside? And he's got DRS as well to try and help him down this straight, which I don't think the Ferrari will have. And the Ferrari's going to find himself in trouble with Mr. Pop XL. We're nearly 3 wide on the run down to Brooklands here. Oh, there's contact between them. Menno de Bever, I don't think he realised Mr. Pop was there, and the Racing Point spins around, and there'll be no points for him. And Asikomi's round as well. Two of those involved in that battle spinning around, so that promotes Ivan Bakker an extra rotation. They're now 9th and 10th. They're into the points. Way ahead of all these guys, though. Josh, Barakaka, Shapalele still holding to that podium position for now. Daniel almost pushing him through Maggots and Beckett's. Can he get a good enough run? Has he got enough ERS? I don't think he has. He's got the DRS, though. Is he going to be able to send one down the inside into Stowe on the final lap to get that provisional third position? He's given it all he's got. Shapalele is still there, though. It's going to be Josh, though, coming around the final corner to take the victory here then in this race. Has the penalty added on. Barakaka crosses the line in second. Shapalele will get promoted up into, well, no, actually, Just As takes the win. Where did that come from? Where was he coming across the line? 6th car across the line. Just As takes the victory. 2 wins in a row. I'd completely forgot he'd kept it absolutely clean. Takes his 2nd victory in a row and a perfect start to the season. XL Hardy in the McLaren gets driver of the day. Great use of the alternate strategy for him. Josh took the victory on track, but it was Just As with another win. Josh will, I think, take 2nd place, and it's Will with the 3rd position. Don't think we would have expected that podium before the safety car came out. Great win from Just As. Josh, that speeding penalty costed him dear in the end, and you can say it cost Daniel as well. He'd have probably been up on the podium. But a great job from the top 3 drivers. As we look and see the order, you can see there Just As and Will kept it clean. They get 1st and 3rd. Josh, 8 seconds of penalties, costing him the win by half a second. Daniel finishing in 4th. Shapalele looked like he was going to take a victory, but the safety car and a couple of penalties drop him to 5th. Barakaka in 6th. Big winner under that safety car. XL Hardy 7th. Ivan Bakker 15th to 8th. Good job from him. Josh dropped back at the end, but still manages to pick up 2 points. Killer Brent in 10th. Asikomi had that spin. He drops outside the points. Menno de Bever 12th. X rotation 13th. Mr. Pop XL, another driver involved with that spin. Very difficult for him indeed. And Julian Skeletor Star, Nuffle Beasy, the 3 retirements here. That was absolutely crazy end to the race. All seemed nice and easy. We saw Nuffle Beasy had a disconnect of his wheel, so he retired. Skeletor Star finishing in the pits, and then Julian's incident, I'm not sure if he made contact with someone else. That brought out the safety car. That led to a flurry of pit stops. Barakaka, a big winner, being allowed to overtake the safety car. Didn't cost him any time whatsoever. And we ended up with an absolutely fantastic end to the race, where somehow Just As has made it 2 wins out of 2. And that is going to be a great start to the season. I can't imagine Josh is going to get his penalties removed, because it's a pit lane speeding penalty, and they are pretty much a slam dunk usually, so we'll have to wait and see. That is it, though, for this race. You'll be able to see the Sprint League on Friday, but the main league next week. We're hopping over the Atlantic to the circuit Hermanos Rodriguez. Round 9 of the championship out of 19 will be the Mexican Grand Prix. But for myself, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.